I'll be having a few, videos and pictures to show for like visual aids. But so basically, the benefits and limitations of using Zoom for a show, we'll go over that first. So obviously, as a lot of you may know or may not, Zoom is made for meetings. It's made for speech only. So there's a lot of hardware or software in it to suppress noise, suppress any background noise particularly. So if you just open up Zoom and start playing, it'll think your guitar or whatever instrument you have is a background fan or something that it's trying to kick out so that everybody can hear your voice. So we're going to go through settings, how to get the best audio sound within Zoom. This is obviously going to vary a little bit depending on your microphone, what kind of setup you have. But so I was actually a question in one of the in the email I got. Because of the delay and the latency, which is a fancy word for delay, it's impossible to play with somebody else at the same time. Like if me and Annie are up here, we can't really play together. I've seen a few people find some fancy go-rounds for it in Zoom. You can manage to do it. If I can't remember who it was, but somebody on their show had a big TV roll up right next to them as they were playing with somebody else playing. So they were right next to each other, and then she just started playing guitar off of the video screen. So it all sounded great because it came through the same microphone. But as far as actually the live playing, it's not going to work on Zoom. The technology is not there yet. There's a couple of programs that are coming out soon that say that they fixed the problem, but I don't know how they did. So I'll believe it when I see it. But as far as the perks with Zoom, if you have a tech person who's kind of what I do, if you have somebody like that to manage the screen, once everybody raises their hands, we have everybody kind of raise their hands, say like 10 or 20 people. We would like everybody to be unmuted so that way we can hear the laughter and applause, and it's more interactive, and we all feel like we're not sitting at home by ourselves, So then what I'll do is when everybody raises their hands, it sorts the whole participants list over here. Everybody with their hand raises in one chunk right at the top. And then all I have to do is unmute those people selectively and then listen and unmute the next one. If there's a little noise, maybe there are fans on in their computer, I'll kick it off. So that's kind of how it all works. So that's how we get the interactivity, and you need a dedicated person to monitor it. That way you can just focus on performing. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, another thing I think is kind of important to note is that this getting good at performing digitally is a very valuable skill set. It's something you should have in your tool belt. One day all of this weird stuff going on will be over, but live streaming isn't going away. This is something that is going to bolster your ability to get in front of different audiences. Even when we have, live performances up again, who knows when that'll be, this is still something that will be offered. This is still something that people are going to want, especially people who don't feel comfortable venturing out into the wider world yet, So, all right. So yeah, so basically the tech guy, as I do a concert, I'll do what you saw when you came in today. I'll, like what Annie did, have a splash screen up with an explanation or something that says, hey, we'll get started shortly, some background music, maybe some links will be posted in the chat. Then we'll show that raise hand video, go through how to do it and explain to everybody that it's important. You must be quiet. You have to really drill in on that. What it doesn't mean to be in a quiet space, no dogs barking, no children running around. As you guys probably know, any noise that they make will directly interrupt your audio. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a little video about how to set up your audio settings so that way it doesn't cut out all of your instruments. So I'll show you, pull that up right now. All right. All right, so you're going to go down here into this bottom corner where the mute microphone is and click on this little triangle. You go to the very bottom here where it says audio settings. Click on that. When this pops up, you're going to do a couple of things. You're going to, first off, make sure your speaker volume isn't up all the way because that could add to some possible reverb issues. And then come down here, make sure that this is not checked. Uncheck that. Now you can adjust your microphone volume. This will depend on your setup, but I find starting at like 65 to 70% is a good baseline, and then go from there. Now click down on advanced. check mark show in meeting option to enable original sound. And now come down here and you're going to click disable for suppress persistent background noise and disable for suppress intermittent background noise. You're going to leave echo cancellation as is. And now up here in this top corner, you'll see once you turned on that enable original sound, this is a toggle switch. It sounds counterintuitive, but you want it to say turn off original sound. That's how you know that it's on. It sounds counterintuitive, but if it says turn off, that means you're good. And just so you guys know, I have this video and a couple of other ones I'm posting is up online in a performers forum that Don White started. So Annie will share those links in the chat for you so you can go look back at those videos later. And let's see. Okay, so another thing that I do as a tech guy is I'll post all the links like Annie's doing now for me in the chat. An important detail that is easy to overlook when you're sharing a link in the chat, you have to have that https:// all of that stuff has to be in the chat. If you just put www.google.com, it will not be a clickable link. So that's a little, just a little not very well-known fact. Okay. Did that. Oh, and then I have one little screen that is also on the performers forum for finding the Zoom original sound settings on iOS. Again, this is in the performance forum, so if you need to go look at it, so it's a little bit different, but you can kind of see up here, that's what Annie was talking about earlier, that ... more button, and you can go ahead and click that right there to turn it on. So it's a little bit different if you're on a tablet. All right, and then the next thing that I wanted to go over was I'm going to go over some basic Zoom settings in the back office. So you have to go to the web browser, zoom.us, and log in. And I will pull that up right now so you can kind of follow along. All right. All right, so now that we're at the Zoom website, and click up here, you'll either see my account if you're signed in, or if not, you'll see something that says sign in. But either way, sign in or click on my account, and then it'll take you to this back office settings area. One important note is never share your personal meeting ID or this link with anybody. We're going to skip over most of the stuff that isn't really relevant to getting started. I'd highly recommend just go through, look at all of your settings, get to know this back office area so you know what kind of options are available to you. That way you can decide what the best options are for you to set up your events and concerts as. So, fun fact, over here we have some quick navigation links. Right, it'll take you to the different sections of this giant scroll of a page that takes forever to scroll through. So that can save you some time if you know what you're looking for. We're just going to start right at the top. It's schedule meeting. And scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. All right, sorry. Embed password in invite for link for one-click join. This just means that when you send a password to somebody, they don't then also need to add in the password and meeting ID. They can just click the link and that's all they need to worry about, so it saves them some time. Mute participants on entry. This is very important. Obviously, as the venue or as the performer, if you're putting on your own events, you want to have the power. So you don't want somebody else's dog barking or chip eating or belching, you know, to be front and center in your production. Scroll down. Now we're in the in-meeting. Oops. Now we're in the in-meeting basic section. All right. So we're going to scroll down here. It's important you put on co-host. A co-host is important because they're the ones who have the power, just like you. So any technician you have who's going to be handling the audio or who is going to be muting people, sharing videos, sharing pictures, anything like that, sharing links, you want that they need to be a co-host. So it's important that you use that setting. All right, next, screen sharing. Probably want to leave that on. This is how you do, this is how you share photos, this is how you share video, this is how you can even share some background music. Who can share? Host only, very important, because you don't want other people to start sharing pictures of their dogs or worse. And then disable desktop screen share for users. Make sure that is on as well. That way, the only people who can share is a host or a co-host. Scroll down. Nonverbal feedback. You want this on. This is how people do thumbs up emojis or applause, stuff like that. Raise hand. More importantly, this is how you raise your hand if you are doing the interactive concert online. That's a very important step. All right, now in the in-meeting advanced section, we will scroll down, and first thing is make sure group HD video is off. As a host and a co-host, you could still turn your HD video on so that you've got good video quality, but you don't want all of your participants and guests to have their HD video on. Really unnecessary, and it'll just use way more bandwidth, and you're just asking to have trouble with latency, lagging, or sync issues, especially if you're live streaming on top of it. Virtual background, I always leave this on for people just because some people are more comfortable having their video on if you don't have to see their dirty bedroom or living room, especially now when people are spending way too much time in their homes. I think that's kind of a nice professional courtesy you could provide. Scrolling down, still in the in-meeting advanced section, just above the bottom of it, right here, allow users to select original sound in their client settings. This is very important because even if you're just an artist doing your own shows, if you have somebody opening for you or you're doing a little song circle at the end, like Don does, they will not be able to turn their original sound on or off in your meeting if you don't have this turned on. Especially as a venue, none of your artists will be able to get their music sounding right if you don't have this activated. Very important. Waiting room, we'll touch on briefly. You can turn it on or off here, and you can customize it. So you can have a little logo, you can customize whatever message you leave for people. And then here's some specifications down at the bottom for what format and size the file needs to be. And then last thing on here on the settings is allow live stream meetings. Even if you're not sure you're going to do it, even if you aren't certain of that yet, go ahead, turn it on. Check the things, Facebook, YouTube, custom live streaming service. You might decide you want to one day, and it'll already be ready, set up for you. It is important, though, to click this custom live stream service. Even if you are live streaming to YouTube, you have to go through this live stream service setting if you want to stream to a pre-scheduled page. So if you just are in a meeting and you click stream live to YouTube, it'll start a new YouTube page with a brand new link. If you want to share a link for a scheduled show days ahead of time, that way you can promote it and try and get more people there, you need to set it up in this live stream service way. So it's important to have this checked. This is not important at all. These instructions, this is if you have an account and you've got other people on your account, that you're like a business account, and you have other people scheduling stuff for you, so you don't need to worry about this. Not important at all. It could be completely blank. Make sure you click save when you're done setting that up. And then we're going to go all the way back up to the top. And so right now we're in the meeting settings right here, but we're going to click over to the recording settings. A quick explanation here, because not everybody may know, local recording means recording to your computer. Cloud recording means recording to Zoom's cloud website. Zoom only gives you a gigabyte of data for free space on the cloud. Isn't a lot. And I think it's $40 a month to get an upgrade. But just a quick explanation of that. Local recording is free. After the meeting's over, you'll have to wait for the video to convert, and then you've got that on your computer. Video, as I'm sure most of you know, video files take up a lot of space. They're very bulky. They're hard to send to people because they're too big to send in an email. So cloud recording might be a better option for you. The cool thing about having cloud recording is that you can send somebody a link. You don't have to send them files or upload anything to YouTube, which can take hours if it's a big movie file. Is you just send them a link. They click the link, a page pops up. They've got the video right here, really nice. Then they've got the entire chat from the whole show right there. They can scroll through, and it's in a really good format, just like if you were looking at a messenger application on your phone. And then the last thing down here we'll touch on briefly is recording disclaimer. It's probably wise to tell people you're recording them. And that way, if they don't want their video on and they don't want to be wind up in a video, they can just shut their video off and they don't have to worry about it. All right, so I know that I got a message that I'm going a little fast, so I apologize. I'll try to slow it down. I just had a lot of information to share, and I wanted to make sure we got through to all of it. That video I just shared, I'm also going to be posting it to the forum sometime within the next few days, so you guys will be able to check that out there as well. Also, I know Annie is going to be saving the recording for this whole show, so you'll be able to watch this entire episode at another time. All right, so now that we went through the basic settings, and again, once you figure out what kind of show you want, just go through the settings and figure out what makes the most sense for you and the kind of show that you're trying to put on. But those are just like the bare minimum, what gets you going. So I'm going to go through. I know that we had some questions about live streaming. I know I touched on the settings real quick, but I'm going to show another little thing about how to set up that custom live stream. So this is using YouTube. There's a very, very, very similar process for Facebook, just to kind of show you how to set it up on the Zoom end. So I'll pull that up right now. All right, so here we are. So you're just going to go to your YouTube page. All right, and
go to YouTube.
Let me shut off that audio real quick. Okay. So click up here on the the little circle, and then you're going to go down to YouTube Studio. This is where you pretty much manage any live stream, any of your videos. All right. So now you're going to go up here to Go Live, or upload video if you already have one. But to schedule a live stream, click on Go Live. Okay, so now YouTube's a little confusing because there's so many different areas to do almost the same thing. So it takes a little practice, but once you're in here in this black section of YouTube Studio, you're going to go up and click on here to stream. All right, so pull that up. And now this is where you start the new stream. So if you're scheduling one, this is where you do everything. So right now this was just a test I did just for the purposes of this. So you can control right there whether or not you want it to be a public. If it's just a test, you can make it private or even unlisted. That way you could share a link with somebody else and see what they want, but nobody can search for it on YouTube. So it's kind of an important differentiation. And then you can add your description, and in your description, that is really where you want to put links. So a link to your PayPal, a link to your website, anything like that. Once you get further down the road with YouTube, there's other things you can do as far as like once you get to the point of monetization, you can add clickable links on the video, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. So then you can upload a custom thumbnail here with whatever silly picture you want. Just fast forward a little bit to there. All right, and then so I'm going to upload a little video, and you can schedule it. You can go here to schedule it for later, right? So if you're doing a scheduled one, you'll click this. You'll enter the name and the date right here, and then go through and here we go. Sorry, I recorded this earlier. a little off my timing. All right, so you go ahead, put all that in, and then you're going to go down and go to create live stream. Now, this is the window that pops up once you create your live stream. So here's where all the important information needs to be. So at this point, you're going to have this page open on YouTube, and on another tab in your browser, you're going to have your Zoom settings open, where you can schedule a meeting from Zoom. So I'll walk you through all that right now. So basically an explanation, this is your stream key. It's important to notice when you do this that there's 3 links here, And they all look like they're everything you need because they have a copy button right next to them. But that would make too much sense. It has to be a little bit more complicated than that. So the way it actually works is you have to copy this stream key. Oh, first off, over here, I'll explain what this means. Sorry. So enable auto start. That means once you have it scheduled, the stream will not go live until you're in Zoom and you click start custom live stream. Then all of a sudden the video will go through. And that's exactly what auto stop means too. The moment you stop it in Zoom, it'll automatically cut the stream down on YouTube. All right, so you don't need to mess with any of the settings. You want to leave the latency settings as is. So you can go ahead, copy the stream key. It's important to pay attention to what you copied, right? You copied the stream key first because they're in a different order when you do it in Zoom. So now on the Zoom website, you go here. We were in settings before. So this is in your the same back office settings when you click on your account. So instead of going to settings like we just were at, we go up here to meetings. Now, right here, you can schedule a meeting. You can do this in the Zoom app, but you cannot schedule a stream in the Zoom app. So we're just gonna go ahead and do it right here, so it's all done in the same spot. So we'll click on this, and here's all the settings we can go through. Your topic, your description, everything. It's just the normal Zoom settings. We don't need to go through too much of this. The important things about the live stream are once you get all your settings done, you go ahead and click save. And then once you click save, the next screen is where we add all of the live stream information. All right, so now scroll all the way to the bottom of this page, this confirmation page, and now right here, so see where it says configure live stream settings. In our settings earlier, when I showed you that settings video, if you did not activate those live streams and check those boxes, this all won't be here. In order to have this little blue link that says please configure custom live stream settings, you have to have checked that box I told you to check in the first video I showed you. So once we click on here, this pops up. Now notice the difference. Stream URL is up top, stream key is in the middle, and the live streaming URL isn't even the same thing as that third box down there. So this is where it's really easy to mix these up and get confused. So I'll walk through this, try as slowly as I can and try to explain along the way. So because the first thing we had was the stream key, I'm going to go ahead and paste that into the stream key field. All right, now I'm going to go back to the YouTube page we're on, right? So the first one was the stream key. The second one, I'm going to copy off this, is the stream URL. But on Zoom, it is the first setting you have to enter, which is just silly. But Facebook is the exact same way. So you post that in there. Now, you might think, let me back up a little bit, you might think that this right here must be, this live streaming page URL, must be what this is right here, but it is not. This is the backup server URL. So in order to find that third link you need to set up the stream, you have to go up to here, to this little share arrow. Once you click on the share arrow, this pops up, copy it. That is the link, the streaming URL. That's the one you're gonna send to people, right? That's where people view the page. So you copy that, and then you'll go back over here to Zoom, and then you paste that down in here. The first couple times we did this, we did them in the wrong way. We had the URL, it took a little while to find that hidden little share link up top, but Facebook is the same way. This live streaming page URL is in a slightly different spot on the same page. So like I said, it's pretty much the same thing, but I'll probably do a Facebook video and post that to the forum page again sometime within the next week. I'll get to that real soon. So because it's the same mechanics on Zoom, but it's a little bit different in Facebook to get to the right location. So then once you paste that in there and make sure you click save, and then now that's it. So right now, this video that I set up, when I open it up, here, let me get rid of that. So when I open up that meeting, what I'm gonna do is I'll go down to underneath, on the very bottom of your screen where you've got your security, participants, chat, share screen, all that stuff. If you are the host and you have enabled screen sharing, there's going to be an extra button down at the end, all the way next to the little smiley face that says reactions. It'll be ... more, just like in the iOS app when I showed you earlier. When you click on that, a little window will pop up, and the window will say, go live on Facebook, go live on YouTube, or go live on custom stream service. So I'll tell you a mistake I made the first time that we tried to live stream a concert is I did all of that. I had it all set up. We did a test. I made sure that all the links were in the right place. But once the concert started, I clicked on go live on YouTube. I didn't click on go live on custom streaming service. So the difference to Zoom is Zoom doesn't know that if you click go live on YouTube, it ignores all that work you did of putting in where to stream it to. It only works if you click go live on custom stream service. That's why it's important. So when I clicked on YouTube instead, it created a whole new page. And we didn't know why. I didn't figure it out till later that I just clicked the wrong button. It's a very easy mistake to make. So there's that. The only other thing before we open it up to questions I wanted to go through is just a quick explanation of security settings, because everybody knows that there's a lot of security issues with Zoom sometimes. You have to be kind of careful about how you share things. So you don't want to share your Zoom link on Facebook to the wide world. If you do have like a Facebook group or event page, it's best to just hide the meeting ID and password, not the link, like really at the bottom of all the text. So somebody has to look for it, because there's people who can set up automatic computer programs that if you share a Zoom link somewhere, it'll just grab it, ping it, copy it to their computer, and share it with all their friends. I'm not saying that to scare you, because this has honestly only happened to us one time. So it's not something you really need to worry about as long as you're careful. But I'll share this little page. And again, this one is also on the forum. So you can see that there. Yeah, let me find it. All right, so do not share a direct link widely across social media. Once you get in the meeting, you can double check your security settings. So right under the participants window is this little more button right here, and you can double check to make sure that people are muted on entry. You can also double check to make sure that people cannot unmute themselves. And you can also do a couple other things in here. Make sure that they're not, this is where you click to turn on or off entrance chime. So when somebody comes in, it'll go ding, which is really annoying. So shut that off. And then you can also do the waiting room in there. Then the next thing, down at the bottom of the screen, you have this little share screen icon, the green one. If you click on the little triangle next to it, what'll pop up will be this window. You click on the advanced sharing options, and this is the window that pops up here. You want to make sure that only one participant can share at a time, that only the host can share. Now, we covered all of that in the settings earlier, but if I'm ever a tech person on somebody else's scheduled thing they start, first thing I do is I come in and check those settings and make sure that they're not wrong. And then over here in the security window, which is all the way to the left at the bottom next to participants, if you click that, you'll see a few options. If you have a problem, you can just lock the meeting so nobody else can get in. You can also enable or disable the waiting room there, and you can control what participants can do. Obviously, we already deactivated share screen, but you can also shut down the chat if need be. The only time that we had a Zoom bomber come in it was because we shared the link on YouTube and a bunch of people came in, but we had all these settings right except for the chat. The chat we always leave open for everybody because they like, people like to just give a roll call or even just say, hey, I love that song. It's good to give people as many opportunities to interact as possible. So they started posting a bunch of nonsense in the chat. I just shut the chat off real quick, and then I went down here and removed them and reported them to Zoom. So it was a really quick problem to correct. Almost nobody even knew it happened except for a couple of people. It didn't actually interrupt the show because they couldn't play any music. They couldn't take over the screen. It was just in the chat, and most people don't, a lot of people don't look in the chat. So again, that is on the Performers Forum group. So with that, I'll go to a couple of the questions that I know we had, and then, Annie, if you want to maybe intro questions after that. So as far as there was a question about OBS. So I did the video I showed you earlier with me kind of over in the bottom of the screen, that I made in OBS. as far as connecting OBS and Zoom, it is very easy to do on a PC. You just need to download a driver called Virtual Cam. You can do that from the OBS website. I don't want to get too much into this because I think Annie said next week is they're kind of doing an OBS deep dive, but on a Mac, unfortunately, you can't do it. So I actually made that video in OBS and then I just screen shared the video. You can't directly link them on a Mac yet. They haven't made the right driver for it, unfortunately. There's ways to do it, but I don't recommend it because it involves like editing code of programs, and I try not to, mess with things that I don't know enough about. So there's the answer to that. If you have a Mac, unfortunately, you can't directly link them. But if you do have a PC, you can link them up so you can set up your scene in OBS and have that broadcast out to Zoom so they only see what you want them to see from OBS, which is kind of nice. The other thing is somebody asked a question about virtual backgrounds. So as you see right here, I've got a virtual background. If I get kind of close to the shadow, you can kind of see a little distortion going on with my green screen. So I have a green screen behind me, which is why for the most part it looks pretty crisp and clean around the edges. The difference is if I didn't have a green screen, it's a little choppier, right? So I just shut off my green screen option. It's a little choppier. But as far as uploading a virtual background, if you go into your video settings down at the bottom where the stop video button is, click on the arrow. Just like when we went to the audio settings, you do the exact same thing with the video button. So click on the video settings, or choose virtual background, ... right above it, better yet. When you click on that, you'll see this window pop up. So you can scroll through all of these settings over here and see what's possible in Meeting. You don't have as many options, but as far as the virtual background, where it says choose virtual background, right under where you can see your video, in the bottom corner, you'll see a little plus sign. When you hit that plus sign, then it opens up a browser for your computer and you can put anything in there, any photos you have or whatever. So like I made this background in Photoshop and I just loaded it in there. It's a pretty simple thing. And if a lot of people are having trouble with that, I could probably put together a little video on how to do that too. But I think that is all that I have. So Annie, did you have any other questions you want to make sure we get to?
My head is spinning, but yes.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's good.
I know we had a time limit. I wanted to
I
be
know, right?
respectful of everybody's time. So
I'm like, talk faster, Brandon, talk
right.
faster. No, no, slow down, slow down. And now you spotlight me. Shame on you. Control. You're a little too good at this. Um, no, this is great. There's a lot of information on Zoom, a lot more than even I think I knew, and I thought I kind of knew it, a lot of it, and I'm only seeing one hand raised right now, so I don't know if that's that you guys are just also you know overwhelmed, or if this pretty much answered all your questions. Knowing that we are stunned, David Tamulevich says stunned. That's okay. It's not hard to stun him. No, look at all the hands going up. Oh man. Okay, here they come.
Okay.
Okay, I spoke too soon. All right. So I have a plan to I was going to do a quick demo on how to set up a registration because I think that was also a question.
Yep.
So if that is one of the questions that you have, maybe go ahead and lower your hand. If it is not, aha, see, there goes one. Okay, then, so I'm going to, the problem with me doing this demo, Brandon, is I don't think I can share my screen.
Yeah, you can share your
I can
browser
share
screen, whatever
my,
you're doing it on.
yes. Okay, so I tell you what, let's go ahead and have you answer questions with the blue hands right
Okay.
now.
While
Pop,
you
you
set
don't
this
mind.
up.
Let's start with Pop, and I'll set up my
Okay.
share screen while
No
you're
problem.
doing that.
All right. So first, I'm going to get to, and also, sorry again. I know I went really fast, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Um, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of information about. I'm not super the best person to talk to about specific audio equipment. I also know that Annie said they were going to be doing a deep dive Tech Tuesday on specific audio equipment, microphones, interfaces, things like that. But all right, Pop, I'm gonna unmute you real quick and
Okay.
spotlight
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, two quick questions. One is the virtual background. Does that take bandwidth, extra bandwidth that might interfere with other stuff you're trying to upload?
No, not really. I mean, if you have, you can do virtual backgrounds that are videos, and that obviously will make a very big difference and take a lot more bandwidth because you're streaming a video at the same time. But the virtual background, just in a flat static image, it doesn't really affect anything. I use it all the time when I do concerts. I normally have two or three videos or two or three screens I'm sharing. I've got a background going on. I've got music in the background. I'm sharing a video or two, and I've never had any issues with it. Oh, you know what? Before I forget, before I get to your second question, one thing I forgot to mention, it is very important when you're streaming to hardwire into an Ethernet cable. Everybody knows how unreliable Wi-Fi is, but either way, even if you have a great Wi-Fi signal, your audio and video will be throttled. It'll be pulled back. They put a limiter on it, basically like a governor. The only way to get the most out of your signal is to be hardwired into an Ethernet cable. So, all right, I'm going to get back to your other question, Pop.
And that plays right into my other question.
Great.
What is the minimum upload speed? Because I talked to Comcast and they're selling their product telling you what the download speed is, and what I need is upload speed, and what would I need to ask for?
All right, so there are ways you can check your current internet upload speed. Honestly, the main thing is anything you're doing, your internet should pretty much cover it. It's if you're live streaming, you've got a lot of, you don't ever want to like watch a video online, for example, like on YouTube, that you're then streaming out, because then you've got data coming in, data coming out. Unless, as long as you're not doing something like that, you should never really have much of a problem unless you have like the cheapest, worst internet possible. But if you want to check your internet upload speeds, there's a website I'll post in the, let me see if I can post a link in the
I
chat.
tested it and I have about 5 bits.
5 bits per
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
Okay. That, hang on one second. I'm going to grab this and copy it in. All right, so hang on. Yeah, that's not too bad. Hang on one second. Mine's loading. I'm just gonna do mine so I can tell you where mine's at. Yeah, mine's uploading at about 5.5, almost 6. And I do a lot more with my computer than most people will. So that should be okay. Are you asking because you're having any particular problems with something?
No, the first time I tried a live feed, it was with wireless, and I think that was the big problem. I'm just looking ahead to what I need to make sure I got covered.
Yeah, so your upload speed is the same as mine, and I'm showing videos, I'm streaming stuff. I mean, it's so that's okay. Don't let them convince you you need to pay for better internet. If you do pay for better internet, it will improve some things for you. You will probably have less lags, but you probably don't need it. I would only do it if you find that you're still having issues, and then it's time. But other than that, I wouldn't worry about it. Just get hardwired in. Make sure you're on Ethernet all the time.
Mhm.
And if you
Thank
do
you.
that, then you shouldn't have any issues.
Great.
All right. Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Let's see. Annie, are you ready or should I get to another one?
Sorry, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. We'll get
Yeah.
to you, then I'll get to the other questions.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna answer David Roth's question when I'm in here because I think it'll be easy enough to do. Um, so hang on, guys. I'm gonna get my share screen. Okay, everybody see my little screen there? I'm gonna try and get it out from behind. All right, so this is the Midwest. So David Roth, you asked about changing your screen so that when your video is muted, that you see a picture. In your profile section of your Zoom, this is probably just a gray square right now. You can just click change and then upload a picture from anywhere. It really needs to be square for it to be seen. So hopefully that is a simple enough um, fix. Okay, so for meetings, I am going to go through this quickly. I'm sorry for doing registration, but we're going to schedule a quick new meeting. You're looking at the back end of Farm's um, virtual connections page, so proprietary info, people. So I'm just going to make a quick new meeting. I'm hoping that most of you know the basics of setting up a meeting. Right here, about right underneath the time and everything, you click this little registration button and you just say registration required. Now you're going, okay, I don't see anything else. Nothing's happened. Nothing will happen, much like doing the live stream, until you click save. So now you've created your meeting. Now you're in the basic meeting, and now you will note that the meeting invitation is no longer just a link to join, it's an actual registration form. So you now are, when you copy this invitation link, you're sending people to that registration form. And you'll notice it was very simple. But then you can also scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'll see multiple options. Now there's a lot going on here, and I would want to get through this quickly, but essentially you've got the option to edit that registration form by clicking that edit button, and here's your questions. There's basic questions. You can add city, state. I like to add questions and comments. I would limit the number of questions you make required, so it makes it easier for people to fill out the form. So you don't want to deter them, just make it easy. What comes first name, email, and last name required, and the rest of it is optional. Make sure you enable the questions and comments option. But you can also add custom questions. And the custom questions, you have two options: a short answer, so you can ask a question, ask people to put their website, or you can do a multiple choice question and then multiple choice answers. So it's nice and easy if you want to get information up front. So I'm going to cancel out of that. So then once you add those questions, they're automatically added to the form. There's no save at this point. They just go in the form. Email settings. This is about the email that your registrants are going to get. You can change who it's from if you want by just editing this, and you can actually edit the template form by clicking that edit. And here's a little box right under the thank you, and then there's another little box at the bottom. So you can add, you can join my concert, but if you'd like to donate some money up front, here's my PayPal link. Here's some more information on what you can expect at the show. This is a really handy tool, and if you want to do a nice send off, you can do that down at the bottom. And that, again, these are just special things. And then the last thing is branding, so that your form has your logo on it. This is all I've done. I don't usually bother with the logo. You can upload a graphic so that when somebody's looking at the registration form at the top, it's not just Zoom, it's got a picture of you or something. And again, the specs are right here, nice and neatly underneath there. So you just click upload, and in our case, I can't upload anything from here because there's nothing on this computer, so cancel. But you'll find your image. So that's the quick and dirty. That's how to set it up. Then let's say afterward you want to find out all the registrant. So we're going to go to a meeting that like this one today, and I'll show you what that looks like. Once you are all here, so you already know who's here. So down at the bottom, you see that we have 52 people registered for this meeting, which is great. And we can click on that view, and you'll see the list of everybody. You can click on each person's name individually and look at any answers to their questions. Sorry if I'm giving away personal information quickly on this. If I've clicked your name, Tamika, and you don't want me to advertise that, just let me know. But you'll see there's multiple pages, so it only shows 15 per page, and if you've got a smaller computer, it may show less. The nice thing about this is what I do, because a lot of people registered several days ago. So the morning of the actual event, I'm resending confirmation emails to everybody. And you can do that simply by clicking this one box, which selects every registrant that's on that page. Click the resend confirmation email, and then at the top it'll tell you it just sent it to those people. So yes, you got to do it a few times, but it's super, super simple and easy. And it's a lot easier than collecting emails separately and managing all that yourself. Um, and the last thing is about getting a report, which is a little bit weird and unintuitive. So, in order to get the report of today's meeting, like a spreadsheet that has everybody's info in it, you go into account management. So unintuitive, but I Googled this. Click on reports, and in the middle, you'll see meeting. And then you'll get a page that offers you a date spread, but this is today's meeting. I'm just going to click generate all registrants, and then it will give me an option to download that full report. And Brandon, I expect you to be paying close attention because this is going to be part of your next Zoom tutorial.
Yes,
And I
absolutely.
just click download, and I'm getting a CSV file or a spreadsheet with everybody's information in it, nice and easy. So, and that, my friends, is the end of my demo. Back to the questions.
Yeah, so I am going to be putting together more videos. That was a YouTube specific one. I'm actually going to just start a YouTube page and just get all these up so anybody can see it at any point in time. I hope to get a couple more videos up soon. I'll definitely make one, Annie, as per your suggestion on registration. All right, so we've got Yule.
Jewel, yeah.
Yeah,
Jewel.
yeah.
Sorry.
The virtual driver you were talking about for pulling in uh, things.
OBS.
Yes. Is that similar to like the OBS Ninja setups? Are you familiar with?
Actually, I haven't used OBS Ninja before, but it's the one I'm talking about. If you have a PC, is called Virtual Cam, I believe. I'll before this is all over, I'll put a link for it in the chat.
Okay.
But again, it doesn't work for a PC, unfortunately.
Doesn't work for.
Or I mean, sorry, it doesn't work for a Mac, unfortunately. But here, I'm putting it in the chat right now. So that's the link for the driver to download. That way you basically what you'll end up doing is you will select in your video feed, you'll select the OBS virtual cam driver in there as a different camera, basically.
Okay. Yeah, like the OBS Ninja works on, you set up whatever the driver is on the other end, it gives you a URL that you pass to the other end and set it up as a virtual cam to that link.
Oh yeah, so it sounds like pretty much the same, like it
Yeah.
accomplishes the same thing. I'm not familiar with that one though. I haven't used it, but I'll look into it. So
Yeah, it
thanks
just
for that.
looks pretty handy, and they have a lot of tools like chat to add and things like that. It's an open source thing that they have available. I'm starting. I'm kind of getting the idea that are seeing more of the value of sort of a cloud-based service on the other end when it comes to pulling in high res and having to send it back out again if you're trying to do everything locally.
Yeah, locally is really tough. The good thing about it is it's free to a point until it crashes your computer. But
Right. Yeah.
as you know, like sending any video via email isn't really an option. You have to maybe upload it to YouTube and then just share links, or something I normally do if I'm trying to send somebody a file, I edit a video like I edited for them, is I'll upload it to my Google Drive. But again, there's a limit on that because you only get so much of that for free too. But you get a lot more than Zoom does. You get like 15 gigabytes, I think.
Mhm.
And then I'll send them the link to that and they can download it from there. But cloud is best. It's a worthy investment if you're going to be sharing these videos and you want to make them accessible to people. It's worth investing in a cloud-based service. I'm not necessarily saying that Zoom's cloud-based service is the best, although if you're doing everything in Zoom, that makes it super easy, but it's worth the hassle. And honestly, if you're saving a lot of video on your computer, you're going to need a new computer soon, and that's a whole different kind of investment. So did you have anything else, Jewel?
Hard drive. Oh, I muted you. Sorry, Joel.
Oh.
Your time's up.
Oh, you're good? Okay, good. All right. We got Mark Smith.
I'm going to bring you back to Mark. But can I ask a quick?
I guess my question was relating to using Zoom as a front end to OBS or StreamYard or anything else.
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. You can basically do that. It depends on the programs you're using, and it depends on the computer you have. But if you're using OBS specifically, there's a lot of information on OBS about how to hook up anything. There's a forum in there. If you go to the forum, you can just type in like OBS to StreamYard or something like that, and you'll probably find a million answers on how to do it. You'll have to be discerning, because if you have a Mac, not everything works on a Mac the same way, so there might be a slightly different pathway. So just pay attention to that. But yeah, there's a way to hook up almost any program. Sometimes it's more complicated if you have a Mac, but if you have a PC, it's usually fairly easy. So what were you going to say? Yeah, no problem, Mark. What were you going to say, Annie?
All I was going to say, I was going to ask a question that came in through the chat, which I think hopefully will be an easier one, a real quick answer. Is there a maximum length of time for Zoom?
Okay. Oh yeah, that was another question. All right. So free Zoom, if you're not paying for it, you can have a long a meeting as you want with 2 people. If you have 3 people or more, you are limited to 45 minutes. At 45 minutes, it will kick you off. You might get lucky. I had it happen once, and they'll say, hey, we decided to give you a little bit extra time, wink, 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 pay us for it, pretty much. So if you pay for the $15, the basic professional version, you can have unlimited time meetings. They can go up to 24 hours is the limit. And I hope you're not doing any concerts that are 24 hours. But so I hope that answers that question.
Yeah. Louise Baker, I'll take over the controls here, Brandon, so you can focus.
Yeah, Bruce Swan's with me, and he's got a question for Brandon.
Hi.
Hey, Brandon. Question for you. I'm looking to do a series of concerts. I want to do it through Zoom to be able to interact with the artist. Is then going out live to YouTube Live the best, or am I okay keeping everybody in the Zoom concert? What would you recommend? Here's the specifics.
Okay.
1 concert, 5 artists, hopefully several hundred viewers.
Okay. All right. So that's perfect. All right. So the other limitation to Zoom, if you have just the basic payment, if you're paying for the professional, the lowest grade thing you can pay for, you're limited to 100 people you can have in the meeting.
Right.
So that's something to keep track of. You can purchase more. It's I think $50 a month to add on additional people to your base meeting. It's a little confusing because if on the website it looks like you can pay $20 a month for the business package, but that's at a minimum of 10 people. So you're paying 20 times 10. But as far as the Zoom meeting, what I've found works well, if you can pull that many people in consistently, that is great. That's really good for you. But one thing you might want to consider is at that point, if it's not worth the investment to pay for more people, you can get up to 500, by the way, with that extra add-on of $50. You get 500 people in any meeting. If it's not worth the investment for you, then what I would recommend is this is what, I work with Don White all the time, for those of you who don't know, and I help him out with all his concerts. What we've kind of turned it into is Zoom is the VIP meeting, right? So this is basically the inner circle for your big fans. You give all of them, the people on your mailing list, that's where you get the link. If we're partnering up with another event like Passim or the Ark or something, they give out the YouTube stream link, right? So everybody can see it, but in order to be in the inner circle and get that interactivity, that's how we parse it out, because we found that, it wasn't necessarily worth the investment to, it was at first, but over time, the participation starts to lag down if you're doing stuff like this all of the time. So it ended up, we found it wasn't really worth doing the extra $50 for 500 participants. So that's how we treat it. But if it's worth the investment for you, then by all means, you should, it's easier to keep everything in Zoom. You only have one thing to manage, because if you're doing a live stream on YouTube also, that tech person will have to monitor the chat there too. I mean, they don't have to, but they should. So you're not making those people feel left out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Patty and Craig. Let's unmute you. Hang on, you got to unmute. Craig, you just got to unmute yourself. I'm sorry. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, we
Yep.
got you.
Good to
All
go.
right. Not a tech person here. So I've been live streaming using just direct to Facebook Live. My sense from the reaction is that it's not negatively impacting the quality of what people are seeing and the performance. So my question is, why Zoom? Why are we always discussing using Zoom as a starting point? Is there a quality or a logistical advantage to it?
So the advantage to Zoom is the interactivity. You can't get that anywhere else. So that's kind of like, if you can, it's way more complicated. You'll have to pay a tech person, you know, to monitor things for you. It's basically like your sound engineer. But you know, if it's too much work, you could just live stream it, but it's not the same thing, because you don't. A lot of performers need that applause. They need the laughter if you're a comedian or a storyteller, or you know, some people do trivia stuff right in the middle of their show. You can't get that interactivity. Plus, another thing is, as a viewer of as a frequent viewer of live concerts in my home, I will tell you that is a very different experience if I'm just watching a screen of something that was pre-recorded. Maybe it's live, doesn't really matter if it's live, if I'm just watching it and I can't interact with it, versus I can hear people laughing, even if I'm muted and I can't interact. Hearing people laughing, hearing the applause, it changes the experience in my brain, and it makes me feel like I'm a part of the show, and it'll make me far more likely to want to tip, right? So that's the only, it is more work, but interactivity is what you get from Zoom. And the other thing, there's other apps coming out that kind of allows some of the same sorts of things. You could use Google Meetings. There's other ways to do this. I wouldn't recommend trying that, because you don't have as much audio control. But everybody knows what Zoom is. That's why we're talking about it today. Everybody's grandmother is now using Zoom to do video calls with their friends. So all of your fans have heard of it, even if they've never used it before. So that's why it's a good starting point, because everybody knows what it is. Yeah. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Craig, I'm going to chime in here and just say from perspective that I think actually both the Facebook live stream and the Zoom thing have benefits and different, like you can do something special in Zoom that feels very intimate with, you know, for a certain group. And if you haven't been to one of Don's forums on Monday, let me know. And I think you've shared these, right, Brandon?
Yeah.
He talks a lot about, I think you'll be convinced. It's a really nice thing. So yeah, I think it's worth the extra effort personally. So, Susie Vinnick, my friend, you are here with us again. Hi, unmute yourself, my dear.
Myself, sorry. Just a quick question. Getting just back to the Zoom and the account to get for broadcasting. So you guys, Brandon, you guys use the minimum account, then the basic one for 15. So that enables just one host, or is that Dawn and you kind of as host, co-host?
So that enables one host, and you cannot live stream without the paid version. I don't think I mentioned that before. You can only do the live streaming with it, but a host can make as many co-hosts as possible. The only difference in power between the two that I've found and I've looked is live streaming. The host has to be the one live streaming. So if I'm doing a concert with Don and I'm also managing a YouTube live stream, he makes me the host. He'll set up the meeting. It's done with his settings. Then once we're in the meeting, he'll transfer the host over to me, which the way you do that is, the way you do almost anything is if you hover over somebody's name in the participants window, you'll see a couple little blue buttons pop up. That's how you mute people. You can also then, like as I'm a co-host, I could make anybody else a co-host. I could spotlight them, but I could give them the host privileges. So in order for me to live stream, I have to be given the host privileges, and then I would just make you a co-host. That way it's easy to find you in the list of people.
Okay. Yeah, because it looked like there was, it may cost more to have more than one host. I wasn't clear.
Yeah, so the what you were looking at is the business package. You can have more than one host on your account in the business package. I think you can do it as personal too, but I really don't think you don't get any benefit from it. The only thing that you get is they can schedule a meeting for you, but it's not really that big of a deal. If you want somebody to schedule a meeting for you, just give them if you trust them, give them your password and they can schedule stuff for you. It's not really worth the money to pay for an extra host. It doesn't give you really any benefit that I found. So I wouldn't waste your money on that.
Okay, I don't want to.
Right.
I just wasn't clear. It's a little bit confusing. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
All right. I see Mark Smith's hand still up, but Mark, do you still have a question, or were you done? Maybe we just didn't lower your hand. So just shake your head. I can see you. You're not sure. Doesn't look like it. Okay.
Yeah, I think we just left it on. Okay.
I can't tell. Okay, but we did have another question that came in from Tim. What platform has, this is a loaded question. It says, what platform has best audio quality for just straight streaming? I feel like this is a whole nother tech talk on audio quality, but Brandon, I'll let you give your 2 cents on that.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? My audio
Yes.
just cut out for a second.
What platform has best audio quality for just straight streaming?
Well, are you talking about like social media platform or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the one of the limiters of Facebook or of Zoom, I'm sorry, is that it does throttle down and suppress a lot of noise. No matter what you do, all those settings we went through, you can get your sound sounding pretty good, and it's plenty good for listening to a live stream. But what comes out of it is obviously not going to be as high quality. For example, as if you were just listening to it on a stereo. But as far as I can tell, there is no qualitative difference between streaming on different platforms. I've done YouTube and Facebook events, and I've seen no difference in quality. I haven't had any lag issues. I do know that it depends on your internet. I know some people who've had some issues with, internet kind of going down and stuff happens. I mean, you can't really control those things. The best you can do is make sure you're plugged in, and that will give you the best results. I don't have a lot of experience with Instagram. Somebody asked me earlier as far as live streaming there, but like I said, once I get all these videos together, I'm going to just start sharing them on all these different things just so I can know better and answer those questions. So I know that wasn't probably very helpful, but that's the best I can answer. So
Well, and that's okay. Sorry, Brandon. And I can throw in real quick, just maybe it looks like compared to StreamYard. Okay, so I think that it's important to clarify. Audio quality depends a lot on what you're feeding to any platform. And the quality of your audio could be horrible on Facebook, or it could be great on Facebook. And there's, like Brandon said, there's a lot of factors involved in that. And I think the very specifics of audio quality involve some of your hardware, which Ethernet cable, the microphone you're using, any audio interface. So a lot of that stuff, that belongs in another tech talk, I'm sorry to say, and we are absolutely going there because it's a really important thing. And let's face it, it can vary depending on the time of day because of, streaming signals. So
very true.
So all I can say is practice, try it out, work on it, get somebody at the other end to hear your audio. And Mark's hand did go back up. So, all right, Mark, we're winding down here. You get the last word before I give my spiel. Unmute yourself. There you go.
All right. The one thing I had about Instagram was the one plus on it is if you have two performers, it is one of the best things to use, better than what I've seen anywhere else. The problem with it is unless you see it, it's not very well advertised.
Yeah. It's not easy to share things on Instagram. Yeah, but that's cool. I didn't realize it was better. It made it easier for sharing multiple video. You're talking about like two players at the same time?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
They both sign in.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. We talked about that with StreamYard last week as well. So, all right, friends. All right, this is a big, heavy topic and lots of information. And I would like to do a quick gallery view, if you all know how to do that, in your upper right-hand corner, and get everybody to wiggle their hands big time for Brandon O'Sullivan. Right now, let's just say, wow, that was awesome, useful info.
I hope I didn't make your brains hurt too much.
Oh, you made my brain hurt, but that's all right. It doesn't take much these days.
Okay.
There are some links in the chat. Somebody did ask me about why you can't save the chat, and I am going to look into this, but I heard a rumor because I think that somebody told me the reason I disabled saving chat is sometimes there's private conversations that go on in chats, and even though I disabled it, it was my understanding, somebody told me that those private conversations are no longer private. So we were a little nervous about allowing everybody to save the chat. So I'm going to be saving this chat. So you guys will have all these links, and we're going to post them on our website along with this. And I will try and get an answer to that for the next times in case you want to save the chat. The last thing I'm going to say to you guys is that we are very gently, we have created a little page on the Farm Virtual Connections website, and that's farmvirtualconnections.org. That link is also in the chat, but since I've not made it easy for you guys to save that information, we will get it to you. But if you just go to farmvirtualconnections.org, there's a few new pages, and there's a help page on there. And if you are in any position to help support this programming, we are doing everything from setting up our keynote speaker to all these weekly sessions. We have expenses that are being incurred. A lot of it has to do with personnel, because we would like to be able to offer some of our speakers a bit of a stipend. Obviously, there's some expenses going on here, and we're asking the time of people. So no pressure whatsoever. If you're in a position, we're setting up a sustainer program. If you want to give us $5 a month for a little while, and 100 people gave us $500 a month, that would go a long way to helping us to continue some pretty great programming. So that's the last of my speech. We want these to be free. We don't ever want you to feel pressured. So that's really, really important to us. Thank you again. Thank you for spending time with us today. And thank you, Brandon. We really appreciate you. One more time in the spotlight, buddy. And then we're all going to go to gallery view, and there's going to be a massively abrupt farewell.
Good day.
You all have a great time. Don't forget, we got peer group sessions starting tomorrow and Thursday. So check out our website. Thank you all so much for coming today. Thanks again to Brandon, and y'all have a great day. Go enjoy the weather.
See you guys.
Bye.